Hi, I'm Mayce.
And I'm Missy.
We're best friends
and business partners. And each week, we're going to bring you a quote that inspires us, and we're going to talk about it.
Join us as we break down our favorite impactful messages for leadership and share how you can apply them to lead with confidence and purpose.
Get ready for a fun and authentic journey into leadership, life, and everything in between. Well, hey, bestie.
Hey, bestie. It is our favorite day of the week.
It's podcast day.
It is. And this week, we're going to be exploring what is, in fact, what we believe. We've done episodes on this before, but it's so important, right? The hardest part of leadership is self-leadership.
It is.
But before we dive into the quote, we are going to introduce our guest. We'll share the quote, and then we're going to talk about it.
That sounds great, Mayce. Well, this week, our guest is Enrique Acosta Gonzalez.
Oh, that Southern girl pronounced that.
How about that?
So well. I think it's all the practice with the DelValle. I think you
probably
got it down.
Probably
so. Enrique,
so.
We're going to have you share about yourself to our listeners. But before we do that, I just want to share something with you. I think that we were so drawn to you because on your LinkedIn profile, you said this. You said, you do what you do because you knew what it felt like not to have a good leader early in your career. You were surrounded by leaders in wrong positions and people in positions of authority who, quite frankly, had no business being there. And I also have had very similar leadership experiences. And I do believe that having poor leadership examples oftentimes helps us become, like, literally the best leaders, right? So, Enrique, tell us who you are, what you do, and let our listeners get to know you.
Yes, welcome.
Well, thank you, ladies. It is a wonderful pleasure to be with you today. I'm Enrique Acosta Gonzalez, leadership coach and developer, also a John Maxwell leadership partner with both of you. And what I've been doing for the last, I say 30 years is I served in the Navy, 26 years of those 30, and now am doing leadership development through coaching, speaking, and training, as as all of us do. Yeah. And also podcasting, which is one of my loves and passions now and retirement age.
Yeah. Well, what you didn't mention, though, is that you were top 100 thought leader in leadership and Global 100 Executive Coach of the Year. And you have won many awards with your podcast. We're going to make sure that that goes in the show notes so people will know how to find you. But we would be amiss, Enrique, if we didn't say thank you for your service. All those years. My goodness. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Serving our country. We appreciate it. So, Enrique, obviously, self-awareness and self-leadership are important to you. So, the quote we chose for today's episode is this: knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. And that was penned by the great Aristotle.
I love that one. Mm-hmm. It's really a good one. Okay. So Enrique and Missy, let's talk about it. Enrique, we're going to start with you. Mm-hmm. When you hear this quote, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom, what comes to mind?
Yeah, another quote, know thyself above all things, right?
Yeah.
It is truly the groundwork where you can develop into something great. Now, if you want to miss all the greatness of life, don't know yourself and try to stumble through that. But if you really want to taste how great life can be, you will know yourself. You'll take the time, right? So a lot of times we are very keen to taking time to knowing others and knowing what they're about and building relationships.
Yes.
And all along, we've missed the greatest relationship, which is the relationship with ourselves. Mm. You know, how could David find himself in the cave and say, you know what, even if I have to encourage myself, you have to know that the fact is that you need encouragement to do that. So when you take time to know yourself, to know your limitations, to know your growth points, to know what moves you, to know what excites you, to know what you don't want to be part of, right? That's another important part. then you'll see the beauty of life, because you
so
won't
good.
entertain things that will drag you down, and you'll cling to things that will lift you up.
Oh,
So
I love that. I love it so much. And it's important because understanding yourself and your values and what motivates you and blind spots,
yeah.
it's not just personal growth, it's essential for effective leadership too.
I would agree, because before any leader, right, can effectively guide other people, they need clarity about who they are, what they really believe, and how they show up in the world every single day.
For sure. Okay, so at the top of the show, we mentioned that you wanted to focus your leadership and grow yourself based on the poor examples of leaders that you've had in your career. So, why do you think self awareness is so difficult for some leaders? And I would also say, especially those in high performance or high pressure environments.
Well, I'll
That's a good
tell
question.
you that a great question. The challenge is, and we'll go back to knowing yourself. The challenge is that even when I had examples of poor leadership, I was challenged with replicating it.
Mm.
Mm.
I had to know and figure out that I was a bruised sailor. I was a
Mm.
bruised sailor, and those injuries were coming up and opportunities to reflect that on somebody else. And
Oh,
so
wow.
I had to learn myself again, go back before I got injured and figure out what that guy looked like in order for me to continue on a good road of leadership and not repeat what was done to me.
Yeah.
And I spent about 3 years challenged with going back and forth, trying to fight that inner battle, and then finally broke through with the help of another great leader that I had in order for me to stay the course after that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I think it's so true. I think that we could easily replicate what's in front of us, right? It's a law of the picture. People do what people see. But if you know yourself enough to know, hey, that's not who I am, what I value, there's more work to do to undo that replication,
Yes.
right? You have to work on yourself so that you can do other things. I have a question, Enrique. How do you think that self-awareness affects the way leaders handle conflict or criticism?
Well, that's another thing, right? You have to know what your relationship is with conflict. We have a relationship with everything that we encounter.
Right?
It's either a poor relationship or what I turned, through my training, unhealthy relationship and a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
And so if someone challenging you, you're automatically upset, then you have to look at to why are you getting upset? Challenges come in every form. And if every time somebody's going to challenge you on a personal deficiency, let's say, then you're not going to make too much headway. Where you're going to make the most headway is, why am I
Mm,
feeling that way
right. That
every time
self-reflection.
somebody comes? And it goes back to learning yourself. It's, oh, you know what? I remember it all started when that nanny or when that uncle or when that person, and you'll notice that it mostly all goes back to childhood.
Right.
When you're
Always.
developing, right?
Yeah.
Say, oh, I never got past that.
Mm,
And so
So good.
now I'm dealing with it, but now it's in the corporate setting or now it's at my job or, wherever it may be. And until you take the time to heal that area of your life, then you won't be able to progress. So most leaders are challenged with things that they have not looked at in a very long time.
yeah.
So, kind of a follow up question to that then would be like, how does a leader's self understanding or lack of, how does that influence the way they communicate with their team?
Well, you communicate as you think it should be, not as it should be delivered. Right?
Mm.
So
Mm.
a
Mm.
lot of
That we
people,
both we both got applause on
Oh,
that one.
yeah, we
That was
did.
good. That was
Yeah, we
good.
and
did.
so when leaders that are effective, right, know that delivery and the place they are delivering has to be right. And so it takes some work, you know. Now, I'll tell you, the military is one area where you just have to deliver it. It's got to go. And, and so it may be a grenade in a in a group of people, but I think that those settings are well educated to know that, hey, at this point, we just need to take action. We'll figure out all the logistics afterwards, and make me maybe say, hey, you could have done it this way. But at the time, you just have to deliver. In corporate settings, you may think that is appropriate, but in the corporate setting, you do have time. Yeah, it's just that we push the timelines on other people. So a leader that's effective will, number one, assess what they're going to deliver, think about who's they're going to deliver to, and is it the right time or place even to deliver it. And if all things check out, then go ahead and do it. But it should be thought out. It shouldn't just be hastily, right?
I don't think our viewers knew they were getting a leadership lesson with it.
I know.
It's just 3 points were gold, right?
I know. I know. We'll go back and take notes. Hopefully, our listeners are taking notes. Mayce, that made me think of what we always teach about slowing down to go fast.
Yeah.
Right? As a leader is looking to communicate, he's got to slow down, or she's got to slow down and really think about the delivery and if it's the right place and the right time. Good stuff. Okay, so a follow-up question would be, since you referenced your time in the service, as a young Marine leader, a younger version of yourself, what awareness lesson would you give to a younger version of you, Enrique?
An awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what do you wish you knew, like in your own person, when you were a young Marine versus now? Like what is a leadership self-awareness lesson that you wish
that's exactly.
Hey, bestie, can I be real about something? Leadership can feel lonely, doesn't it?
It can, especially when you're the one that everyone else is looking to for answers, but you've got questions of your own.
But we have a solution. We created Mpactful Messages, a community for those who are built to lead.
It's a private space where real leaders can connect, grow, and get practical insight to lead with purpose.
That's right. There's no fluff, just real talk, real tools, and real people who, well, they get it.
That's right. And so if you're looking for leadership people, then this is your group. Come join us at www.inspiredpeopleinspirepeople.com.
Trust the process. Trust the process.
Okay.
We tend to, especially in the military, we have wickets and goals that we have to boom, 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 right? And sometimes we get those and we clear it out and we're like, yeah, okay, now the next thing is going to happen. And it may take some time. I remember vividly having all the requirements to becoming a chief petty officer, E7. And when I didn't see it for 10 years, I almost lost hope. Yeah. And
but you were on the right track.
Oh yeah, I was way ahead of time.
Yeah.
But God knows all. And and if I had made that E7 when I thought I was ready, I would have really hurt some folks. I just was not as mature or ready for the enormity of the responsibility that came with that rank. And even with the timing and doing it at that time, I still made some mistakes. So imagine, right? Trust the process. Just because it doesn't look like things are coming does not mean they're not on their way.
Oh, I love that, because it's almost like there's that book, 3 Feet from Gold. People give up when they are literally like right there at the footstep. Like they are so close, they
Yeah.
give up and they've let it all go, and they almost would never even know that they were right there. Clearly, self growth, personal growth is important to you. What are some things, some habits, some trends? What do you do on a regular basis to continue to grow yourself and get to know yourself? Because every season we're changing. Obviously, you're retired, you're not in the military anymore. So you may even be a completely different person than you were those years ago. So, what do you do to continue to grow and know yourself?
Well, number one, I ground myself to God. That's the very first and most important thing that I could do. We do it in nature, right? Hey, go out, put your feet on the
Yeah.
grass, and
Yeah.
ground and detox or whatever.
Hug a tree.
Yeah, hug a tree,
Yeah.
get the energy out. I do it by grounding myself in God, where everything that He already knows can flow easily, right?
Right.
And I want to be a willing vessel for whatever He has for me. And secondly, that allows me to understand the frailty of my life and
Mm.
how quick things can change. And so that allows me also to understand that it is a time I am trying to compete with. And so make every time count, make every moment count, and make every relationship count. It
May
makes
I,
it nice.
sorry to interrupt, but may I ask you, just because I like specificity,
Hmm.
like what do you do? Like, do you have quiet time? I know Missy
Yeah.
really honors her quiet time every day. You know, there's that 5, 5, 5, right? 5 minutes in the Bible, 5 minutes of worship,
Mhm.
5 minutes of prayer. Like, what does your time with God look like to you?
I'm so
Yeah.
glad you asked that, Macy, because I was thinking that.
I
First,
figured you were.
the very first thing is, I roll off the bed and hit the floor.
Mm,
I've been doing that for years. I don't waste no time. I don't got no time for this or that or the other. The first communion I want is with Him, and
Mm.
so I make sure that I humble myself as soon as I can, and hit prayer. I spend some time
love that.
outside. We talk about grounding. I do. I go
Yeah.
out barefoot, let my body reunite with earth and take in some sun. Everybody's trying to take vitamin D pills. I get it right from the sun.
Go right
Yeah,
outside. It's right
go right.
there. It's
It's
right there
free.
waiting
Oh,
for you.
yes.
And then after that, I spend some time in the yard. I love gardening. I take care of that, and it ties me back into the delicacy of growing something.
Yeah.
When you see something, I know I put a seed in there and you see this little sprout, I
I
mean,
love
your
that.
world lights up because you know that you not only you put it in the right conditions,
Yeah.
you've been caring for it. And so that translates over to my family. That's how I
Yeah.
treat my family life and try to make sure that they grow and I'm proud of what's going on.
I love
That's
that.
so
It's so
good.
funny. Not that long ago, I was at the gym and I sent Missy a text and I said, how many people do you know that have worship music blaring so loud? Like I'm in the gym, like, and this is a bodybuilder gym. I'm not a bodybuilder, clearly, but it's just a gym in our town that a lot of bodybuilders go. And I am like, raising my hands and practically singing out loud. My husband's looking at me like I'm crazy, but there's just something about it when you're doing this hard work that you know that the sound that's coming through. So I said to Missy, how many people do you know that raise their hands in worship as they're working out? She's like, I don't think I do. I go, but you do. It's
Yeah.
me. So that's for me, Enrique, just kind of one of the ways that I do. I said Missy enjoys her quiet time, but that's how I can connect is just that worship music blaring. There's almost nothing better
Nothing better.
than
I
that.
love it. When I'm
So fun.
walking, I'll often find myself raising my hand on the street. And I know
And
people are
people are
probably like,
probably
what is she doing out there? Love
yeah,
that.
that's funny.
Well, we're talking about action items. And so I want to ask you, Enrique, if you were going to make a suggestion to our listeners, if they wanted to really explore who they really are in leadership, what's an action item that they could do today?
number one, lose the fear of exploration.
Mm,
You have to dig deep.
I
And
like that.
sometimes, you know what's buried, right? So
Yeah.
when you're digging deep, you're gonna hit some lines. Things are gonna get messy, but don't be afraid of it because you can only build something that will stand the test of time if you go to the rock bottom.
Mm.
Oh,
Yeah, and you have to get there.
yeah.
And sometimes we're afraid of rock bottom, right? Oh, I don't want to rock bottom. Well, if you're gonna do a building the right way, you gotta hit some rock and make
That
sure that it
foundation.
fits. Yeah, that
Yeah.
foundation. And
Yeah.
so, but don't be afraid of exploration. Don't be afraid of excavating the what ifs because they are. We always say, oh, don't try to live your life where you're not asking, oh, well, what if, what if, what if. Um, there are consequences for the actions that we don't take.
Yes.
Oh,
Love
yes.
that.
We could have a
Love.
whole podcast on that.
So just don't be afraid. And usually most people won't develop and won't become the best version of themselves because of fear.
Yeah. But it's
They're in
what
that
if,
comfort zone.
yeah. We always say, instead of saying like, what if I don't have time? Or what if it doesn't work out? Or what if I all those fears, we always say, what if it's
What if it's
better?
better?
So what? What if it's better? You'll never know if you don't try. Okay, so obviously leadership is so important to you. Self-leadership is important. As we wrap up today, share with us, if you don't mind, a leadership lesson that you didn't learn in a course or a training, but only through experience. What's something that only experience taught
I
you?
always love when we ask this
Yes, I
question.
do too.
Yeah. So I learned that leadership can be faked.
Oh,
Ooh.
Leadership can be faked.
Okay, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I was, and I'll give myself as an example. So my wife one day she came to me and says, "Hey, I had a conversation after you had that get together at the house with one of the sailors," and I said, "Oh, okay. I didn't know about it." She goes, "Yeah, but I need to talk to you about it because they were asking if this was the guy that was always here because the guy they knew was not like that." And my wife was like, "What do you mean?" He
Yeah.
goes, "He's never that happy. He's never that joyous and
Oh.
open, and he's shaking. He's not like that at work. He's like boom, boom, boom."
Militant and
And
yeah.
so she says, "Well, you can keep that guy over there,
Yeah,
and
I
you
don't want him
leave
coming
this."
in
don't
my
bring him
door.
in this front door.
But she wanted to talk to me because she says you're two people,
Mm,
and two people can't cohabitate the house 100%.
right.
And so you got to pick who you want to be.
Wow.
I was
So
like,
good.
whoa. And
Wow.
so I realized that although I was a great leader in terms of what I was doing in the capacity of my military side, I was a poor leader because I wasn't feeding their humanity.
Mm.
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 And so I decided that moment that I would rather feed their humanity than dictate orders and things like that. So that
Love.
changed the trajectory of my leadership.
So
And
good.
probably not just your leadership, Enrique, but probably your life.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, no doubt.
Because if that's who you really are, that person that walked home to your wife every night,
Mhm.
you probably were experiencing so much stress in that leadership position because
Oh, yeah.
you weren't embracing that people loving part of you, which we all
Right.
see, and I know our listeners
Mhm.
here, right? That's so good. Speaking of our listeners, it's time to segue into our big takeaway for the week.
Yes. If you only take away one thing from this episode, let it be this. Self-awareness is not optional. It's foundational. And if you want to lead others effectively, you must lead yourself first.
That's right. Great leaders regularly pause to ask, who am I right now? What am I projecting? Without intentional self-reflection, blind spots become roadblocks to trust, performance, and growth.
And if you've been around for any period of time, you know that we really do believe in the power of reflection. We've had clients literally come to tears about reflecting and what they're learning about themselves and their life. So this week, we are going to put in our show notes a free gift for you. It's going to be a copy of our Leaders Reflection Guide, and it's going to help you look back to move forward, and that will go in the show notes as well.
Love it. If our listeners, Enrique, want to stay connected with you or learn more about what your company offers, how can they do that?
Yeah, the best way is LinkedIn, and you can also find my show on YouTube at DTLW Podcast altogether. And those are the quickest ways to get a hold of me.
Yeah, those will go in the show notes, of course. We've got a lot happening in the show notes.
I know.
People, you've got to check it out. All right, Enrique, as we wrap up, this is one question we ask all of our guests because you know we're all about leadership quotes. So what is your favorite leadership quote?
Be interesting, not interested.
Ooh, be interesting, not interested. I feel like you need to give some backstory.
Yeah,
there.
because I feel like I've heard that the other
Yes,
way.
you have.
Yes, we have. That's why
Just wondering. Okay, so
we've had it said, right? The real quote is be interested, not interesting, but you flipped it on its head.
Right.
So talk about that.
Do tell.
And so, John Maxwell, that's where I got that from. But I flipped it because from the standpoint of a leader, as you are leading, you want to be interesting to the person. They have to gravitate to you. So you have to be doing some things that are interesting to them, but you cannot lead from a standpoint of being interested in an outcome. Because if you are always interested in the next goal and the next goal, you'll navigate past all the people that you've just trotted to get there. And so from a leader standpoint, I flipped it because you cannot, it has to be about the people.
Yeah, always.
Absolutely.
They
have to be interested enough in you because you're interesting.
Right.
So that they could be interested in what you're doing. See?
Yeah.
There you go.
We got it. We get things after a little while, don't we?
Yeah. Sometimes we just need a little more detailed explanation.
Oh, great detail.
And Enrique, thank you so much. It has been such a joy spending time with you. This has been so awesome. I know our listeners are going to love it.
Yes, we have really enjoyed our time with you. And listeners, we want to hear from you too. Do you have a favorite leadership quote? Send it our way and we might spotlight it on a future episode.
And we'll be back next week with another quote and more leadership insights. And you know what we're going to do?
We're going to talk about it. Bye,
right,
Bestie.
Bye, Bestie. Bye, Enrique.
Bye, Enrique. Thank you.
Bye.
We want to thank you for listening. If you're enjoying this podcast, please show us some love by clicking the 3 dots to download the podcast. Leave us a 5-star rating on your podcast app and talk about it with other leaders to help them find the show from any of the major podcast apps. We'd love for you to follow us on social media too. Mpactful with an M _messages on Instagram and Mpactful Messages on LinkedIn.